I stopped following traditional planning advice and what I do instead. If your planner starts strong and then slowly becomes something you avoid opening, this video is for you. Not because you're lazy or undisciplined, but because the system you were given doesn't work for real humans. Today, I'm sharing the way I plan now, without guilt. Before we get into that, I'd like to let you know that I've prepared a free planner setup checklist for you. You can download it from the link below. Planning made me feel like a failure. At one point in my life, planning made me feel like a failure. And then I stopped planning. I didn't stop planning because I stopped caring. I stopped because planning was making me feel like I was constantly behind in my own life. Traditional planning advice tells us to plan our days in detail, ahead of time, decide exactly what we will do and when we will do it. And if the plan doesn't happen, we assume the problem is us. I still remember one January 1st. I sat down with my planner and decided this was finally the month I was going to finish something I had been trying to complete for a long time. I didn't just write the goal down, I planned it perfectly. Day by day, hour by hour, every task was mapped out. Every free moment had a purpose. And for the first few days, it actually felt good. I felt focused, responsible, proud of myself for doing it right. But as the month went on, things started to slip. One day I was tired. Another day, something unexpected came up. Then I started falling behind the plan I had made for myself. So I did what we're always told to do. I pushed harder. I worked longer. I cut into rest. I told myself I just needed more discipline. By the last week of January, I was exhausted and panicking. And then the last day of the month arrived. I opened my planner, looked at what I had planned to be done by that day, and realized I wasn't even close. What made it worse was that this was not the first time I had failed to reach this goal. I had been here before. Plans, promises, outcome, hard work. I remember closing my planner, collapsing onto the couch, and crying. I spent the rest of the day watching Netflix, not because I didn't care, but because I didn't know what else to do. Shame, guilt, and frustration completely took over. And the story I told myself in that moment was simple, and it was brutal too. I must be the problem. I didn't think the plan was unrealistic. I didn't question the system I was using. I questioned myself. And for a long time, I thought that moment meant I wasn't disciplined enough, until I learned something that completely changed how I see planning. Behavioral psychology shows that humans don't follow rigid plans. Instead, we respond to situations. And further research also shows that fixed schedules fall apart when conditions change, which they always do. Instead of asking why I can't stick to a certain goal, why I couldn't stick to a certain plan, what is wrong with me, I started planning for different kinds of days. If energy is high, I focus. If it's low, I do the minimum. And if the day falls apart, I switch to recovery mode. So I had to remind myself, you are not inconsistent. I planned for reality instead of perfection. If this is resonating, make sure you download the free planner setup checklist. The link is in the description below. Just try harder. But discipline was never the real problem. Traditional advice tells us successful people just show up, no matter what. For a long time, I thought I just needed more discipline, more consistency, more willpower. Research shows self-control is limited and affected by stress, sleep, and emotional load. Now, planning as if our energy never changes sets us up to fail. Research on self-regulation shows that willpower is not unlimited, it is finite. So when we are stressed, how we sleep, what kind of emotional load we bear at a certain time, all of this affects our ability to follow plans. So planners that demand the same output every day are built on a false assumption, stable energy. What changed everything for me was planning based on energy instead of forcing the same output every day. I have high energy task, and then I have also the medium energy task and low energy bare minimums. So in this way, when I plan for different energy states instead of one to-do list, it helps reduce friction and keeps me moving even on hard days. And I found out that consistency comes from flexibility. So this is my current planning mantra. I have to remind myself that I don't need to fix myself all the time. I need a system that respects my limits. So planning should conserve energy, not drain it. If you are thinking of setting up your planner system, I have prepared a free planner setup checklist for you. You can download it from the link below. Big goals and my motivation. Traditional planning says goals create motivation. I used to love big goals. They looked inspiring in my planner until they turned into reminders of everything I was not doing. I used to believe that so deeply. Every time I bought a new planner, the first thing I did was write my big goals in the front. I made them sound inspiring, clear, like the kind of goals successful people are supposed to have. And at first, it worked. I'd open my planner and feel this little rush of motivation. Like, yes, this is the year. This is the version of me who finally follows through everything. But a few weeks in, something strange would start happening. I would flip past those goals page a little faster. I wouldn't linger on them the way I did at the beginning, because the more time passed, the heavier they felt. Every time I saw those goals, big ones, I wasn't thinking about what I could do next. I was thinking about everything I had not done yet. And without realizing it, my planner slowly turned into a scoreboard. Not a place to support me, but a place that reminded me I was behind. I didn't feel motivated when I looked at my goals. I felt pressured, then discouraged, and eventually avoidant. There were days I wouldn't open my planners at all, not because I didn't care about my goals, but because seeing them made me feel like I was already failing them. At the time, I thought that meant something was wrong with me, that I just wasn't ambitious enough, or disciplined enough, or motivated enough. But what I didn't realize back then was that this reaction was not a personal flaw. It was a predictable human response. And once I understood the science behind motivation, everything about that experience finally made sense. Traditional planning is built on the assumption that clearly defined goals automatically create motivation, but decades of research in motivation psychology shows that this only holds true in a very short time. Studies show that sustained motivation comes not from having big goals, but from experiencing frequent visible progress. When progress feels slow, invisible, as it often does with long term goals, motivation reliably drops and avoidance increases. Research shows that goals spark initial excitement, but it's progress, not the goal itself, that sustains motivation over time. So small wins create momentum. Now I plan for progress. I ask, what moved forward today? What stayed alive? What mattered? Even small movements counts. If motivation has been hard for you, it's not because your goals aren't strong enough. Maybe it's because your system is not letting you feel the progress. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. You are not bad at planning. You may just have been using systems designed for perfect conditions and predictable days. You plan like a human, with changing energy and real life interruptions. Once your planner supports that, consistency stops feeling forced and starts feeling natural. So basically, I have not stopped using planners. I stopped using them the way I was told to traditionally. But flexibility creates a new question. How do you stay grounded without feeling scattered? That's what I'm covering next. How to design a planner that supports real life and keeps you focused. See you in my next video.